rants and all that jazz there. But man, there's a lot of a lot of stuff has happened since I've last talked about stuff. I've been mostly just wanting to game and things, and haven't really wanted to dip my personal brush into the fouled up ink that's been happening with a lot of shit lately. But I gotta tell you, I mean, we're gonna get caught up. I mean, I'm not gonna go into in depth or anything because there's better videos out there for a lot of the stuff. But I'm gonna touch on a couple things just with my personal opinion about a lot of the stuff that's been happening lately. And you know, a lot of this is days old, obviously. So there's a lot of people that have already covered it. But one thing I just want to mention, the when it was the I'll start like simple basically and then get into the meat of it. Like Andy Ngo, I gave my support for him. I'm finally like following him. I don't know why the hell I haven't before, because he does a great job uncovering Antifa in Portland, and I should have been following him sooner, to be honest. But I left him a tweet from a recent video he sent, or not tweet, YouTube comment, and told him, you know, hang in there and don't give up. And he's got my support now, basically. I mean, I'm really a nobody, but you know, I'm just, he's got a backer in me, basically. One thing that I found funny, and this is a true story, I mentioned to Ardith about a week ago how Antifa, or anybody who like supports Antifa, were basically leaving comments about how, you know, being hit by a milkshake, you know, they're like, conservatives are such snowflakes for, you know, crying about being hit by a milkshake and blah, blah, blah. But I sat there and I'm just like, this is coming from the same people who find words hurtful, weaponized, you know, the terms I've used before, weaponized violence, the same terms that have been used by, you know, a lot of far left nut jobs and everything. Then all of a sudden I find a tweet with just like similarly quoting what I said there, and I was like, holy shit. So like I read it and I was like, wow, you know. So I mean, great, you know, good minds think alike there. But seriously, I mean, it's kind of funny how, you know, people will just like bitch and complain, like, oh, you got hit by a milkshake and you're crying about your sad snowflake. It's like, oh, you're on Twitter, somebody basically said something you didn't like and you're going to call him a racist, like what Donald Trump recently said, you're going to call him a racist, and it hurts you so much. Oh, you know, it's just, I guess you can't really make up your minds. Like you see, milkshakes are physical objects. They're cold, like they come in physical objects. They're cold. They can come in, you know, a near solid state, somewhere between solid and liquid state. And apparently, if you get thrown by one, if you get thrown at you and you get hit with it, I mean, you're a pussy if you don't take it or anything like that. People's different opinions and words, which, you know, you can either shut out or you can hit the block button or the ignore button, are just people's words, basically, especially if they're not inciting violence. If they're just opinions, whether they're objective or subjective, you know, they're just words, and you don't actually have to be around them or anything. But like I said before, I have a theory that usually a lot of far left people, you know, we already know it's basically manufactured rage, basically. I mean, we already know that. But honestly, I think it could, I mean, with the way that a lot of, like with Pride Month, for example, with the way a lot of people view sexuality as something that's higher than accomplishment. I mean, now people won't say that, but if you watch a lot of the videos of what was going on in San Francisco and things like that, definitely check out Slightly Offensive for that. A lot of it is like, you'll run into some people who are, you know, there to support the true cause and everything, which happened in June. But then everybody will say things of the nature of, you know, oh, we love everybody and whatnot, but that's not the reality of it. It's not. And what I'm alluding to is the fact that I feel like a lot of people who have these, just these pick and choose what hurts me and affects me and everything, I honestly think it's a sexual fetish. A lot of people think I was crazy for saying that, but I've gotten thumbs up for commenting on that in various places, because if you think about it, if you wake up every single day feeling oppressed about something and you don't go out there and achieve something outside of like bitching and moaning, and, you know, I mean, I've got a job, so, you know, I obviously contribute to society, and, you know, I have hobbies, obviously, that I enjoy, but if you're not going out there and and at least accomplishing something or doing something. I mean, like, if you're so concerned about people maybe being homeless, hungry, not getting equal opportunities, normally the thing to do is to join a charitable cause or donate to a charitable cause if you don't have time to do volunteer work or anything of that nature. Like, I donate to charitable causes that I believe in. But to protest, which is still your right, I'm not going to take that away. Protesting still your right. To only do that and accomplish nothing outside of potential violence, violent acts, or destruction of property or things of that nature. Oh my God, destruction of property, that's all you conservatives think about. Yeah, I know, it's terrible. It's terrible to, think about property and not want to, protect it or anything of that nature, or even, at the cost of life, which I'll get at in a moment when we talk about Carlos Maza, and yeah, I'm going there. Basically, every single day you wake up oppressed. It's just like all these manufactured things in your mind that are easily able to be overlooked. They're there. Like, some things are there. There's still racist people out there. There's still homeless people out there. There's still people who are beyond religious norms. There are people out there who are beyond philosophical norms. I mean, there's people out there that are fanatical. So there is that. But every single day, to put yourself through this torture of going out there and just feeling, and it, like, even taking it upon yourself to be oppressed upon people who more than likely don't even know, one, who the hell you are, two, feel fine and enjoy their lives, to just take that upon yourself. It makes me wonder if it's a sadomasochistic type of relationship and they're getting sexual satisfaction out of this. Because there's just really no other explanation. To live life every single day just waking up feeling oppressed or being oppressed on behalf of somebody thinking you're a hero. I mean, obviously it's a moral superiority grudge match, but, it just sounds so eerily like a sexual fetish. And yeah, you can call me crazy, and it is my opinion, but it's a possibility. You never know. I mean, I've seen Craigslist ads of fucking progressive women who want MAGA hat owning people who are like real MAGA hat conservatives to basically talk down to them with their politics, and they get off to it. So it's out there. I mean, one way or another, it's out there. I haven't seen the ad in a while, so I can't show a link to it. But I mean, if you look it up, I mean, there's stuff like that out there. It could even be in a lot of like liberal cities like Seattle or Portland or San Francisco or Los Angeles. I mean, it could be there. You never know. And there could be more, but I've seen it before. Like, I've Googled it before, or I saw it on Facebook actually. But I mean, there's a possibility. It might not be like the ultimate one. I mean, the ultimate reasoning, from what I've gathered, is moral superiority, hands down. I'm going to use another perfect example of that when we get further into it. But yeah, Andy Ngo, you're hang in there, brother. Just keep your fight up. Keep covering Antifa. You're doing a great job with that. So that's pretty much what I have to say about that. There's videos out there of Andy Ngo. Go to it. Definitely subscribe to him. I mean, he covers the pure truth of what he sees there and what's going on, basically. And he got hit by a milkshake, but he got bludgeoned, and I mean, it was just terrible. I mean, his eye hemorrhaged. Oh, it was just god-awful seeing him. And he's a handsome guy. I mean, to see a Vietnamese homosexual get bashed like that, when you're supposed to be on their side because he's not part of the American or European trash, quote-unquote, I mean, I don't get it. But I guess it's just because he's, exposing people that a lot of people, for some reason, support, which is insane. Especially after what happened with the ICE thing, which I'll get to. That's another topic there, but just wanted to briefly touch on that. So, Andy Ngo, just one of the lighter topics there. The social media summit was really, really bashed hard by left biased media. A lot of people called it conspiracy theories, like right-wing radicals getting together for conspiracy theories and things like that. The bottom line is there's anybody who's against progressive thought, even if you're a classical liberal like Tim Pool, for example, but anybody who has any type of common sense, be it, maybe like left-leaning or centrist or right-leaning like me, or libertarian like young Ripa, really intelligent guy, by the way, into geek culture like me, and also I don't really like libertarians in certain cases. I mean, I agree with them in some things, but other things, I mean, they just kind of flip-flop here or there, but that's just another can of worms there. But he raises some valid points. I'll give him that for sure. Anybody who's got any conservative views or non-progressive views basically is under attack, and it's just going to get worse, especially with YouTube's new policies, which I'm going to cover pretty much as well, probably second to last topic there. But it's astonishing how people feel like, oh, nobody's under attack and whatnot. I mean, like when you see Steven Crowder getting demonetized, and when you're seeing like iHypocrite getting demonetized, I mean, when you're seeing all these groups just getting demonetized because they're against, and like even like iHypocrite, he's from Canada. I mean, he's more left leaning, but he hates PC culture with a passion. So if you're against PC culture, despite what your political affiliation may be, I mean, it's just, you're going to get demonetized, taken down, silenced. I mean, I'm not popular enough, but I mean, I may eventually even get silenced because I swear a lot and I talk a lot of shit. But it's, it's my right to. I'm not trying to incite or call to arms to violence. Whether you choose to take it as such is your choice. That's the bottom thing, because we're rational human beings. We're not instinctual animals. At least I like to hope and pray we're not. But, taking a look at what had happened, there was a reporter named Brian Kareem. He's the White House reporter for Playboy, and he started he started a kind of like a call to arms. Like he threatened basically Sebastian Gorka on the White House grounds, as he put it, basically, where he said, let's take it outside. I mean, when you're telling somebody, let's take it outside, or let's go to the meet you at the flagpole after school, or something like that, those are fighting words, hands down. Unless you're being facetious or coy or cracking a sarcastic quip or something like that. I mean, a lot of people defend that Brian Kareem was doing that, but with the rage that he was displaying and the way he kind of worded it, I really think he was being serious. He was upset that the president wouldn't answer, like Trump wouldn't answer questions while he was walking away. I mean, when Trump's walking away, he's done. That's just what it is. Somebody walks away from your interview. I mean, it's just, I mean, I know it's a journalist's job to keep trying and everything. We see it all the time in the news and movies, all that crap. But, when somebody walks away, it's over. I mean, I want to interview, whatever their reasoning is, or time schedule, whatever it may be. It doesn't make a difference. You can make all these wasteful opinions about it or anything like that, but once they walk away, it's done. That's just the bottom line there. But I loved how Gorka was basically calling Kareem a punk after, and trying to make a call to arms there, and was basically stating, he was shocked, like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you're actually doing this in the White House? You're actually calling me out in the White House like this? And then that conservative songwriter, Joy Villa, was like chanting his name, and, like somebody had said that, warned Kareem, like, you better be careful because Gorka will kick your punk ass, so I was like, damn, we can go outside and talk about it and everything. So I was like, holy shit, that's pretty crazy there. And then what was funny was afterwards, Kareem was just trying to play like, oh, I didn't do anything wrong and whatnot. It's like, yeah, well, and then like this guy, Brandon Sumner, I forgot his name, like what comes out of nowhere and is all telling him, like, Brandon Darby, I think was his name. He was like coming out of nowhere and sitting there, basically stating like, we heard exactly what you said. We heard exactly what you said, and now you're twisting it. It's just astonishing. It's astonishing how you get everything on video, and then of course news outlets will snippet only certain parts, basically because I mean every news outlet, whether it be left or right leaning, does this. They just want to cater to your emotions usually at certain points. especially if you're talking to an opinion channel. So, of course, Fox News and CNN, they're both guilty of that, hands down. But when you see the raw footage completely through, which, are on a lot of neutral sites, or even going to be shown on, more right-leaning sites, the whole thing and whatnot, but what your opinion afterwards is what your opinion. But basically, when you see the whole thing, I mean, shit, Kareem was asking for it and everything, but Gorka wasn't going to, wasn't threatening him or anything. He called him a punk, which, I mean, I wouldn't take that from anybody. If you're going to be threatening me or something like that consistently and heckling me, I'm not going to take that. Social media is a different thing. Usually, usually some people, I'm a troll sometimes, but some people try to troll me. I'm going to block them. And the reason being is because I'm not. I mean, unless they make me laugh. Like if they make me laugh, I'll play along with it and everything. But if they're just being irritating, or like if you can tell they're just doing it for revenge as opposed to doing the lols like I do, for example, you block them. I mean, being a troll to make people laugh, that's the key point of it. But being a troll to anger people, I mean, if somebody gets angry out of it and everything, your goal is to try to make them still laugh, or just get them to call you out or open up or something like that. But if they try to sling it back at you out of revenge and they're not being funny about it or anything, that's when you just are like, you know what, if you're going to be this angry over, fucking jokes and everything, I can understand certain things of it, but if you're going to try to throw it back in my face, it's done. It's like, that's not how it works there. You can call it hypocritical if you want to, or anything of that nature. It's just being smart. Hecklers, teasing is one thing, but you can walk away from that. Heckling out of revenge is a different sort of matter. There is like a weird code to trolling, like to being a troll and whatnot. It's very awkward. It's complicated, and there is like mixed hypocrisy in it, and that's the irony of it there, basically. But the bottom line is that you should really only be doing it to get ironic laughs out of it, basically, which is what I usually do, because I hate civil discourse on social media. It's pointless unless you can find either common ground or sane opposing policy. That's one thing, but a majority of the time it's basically just whoever can one-up one another in moral superiority. So I just find it better to tease rather than be serious. But, usually when I do these videos, I'm fairly serious about a lot of stuff, with a few laughs mixed in between, of course. So that takes care of that part there. Yeah, it's just, if you want to check it out, just look up Brian Kareem on YouTube. It's it's pretty funny, like the White House social media summit, Rose Garden. Just basically look it up. Look up Sebastian Gorka, Joy Villa, Brandon Darby. I mean, you're gonna get a lot of laughs out of it. It's just hilarious with that. Moving up into more of the medium stuff before we get to the two granddaddies. I don't know if you were, a couple days ago, there was a Mississippi politician by the name of Robert Foster. And I like it because the last name is Foster, because I immediately am thinking like Ninja Gaiden, it's like, you're Foster, the CIA auxiliary special units. I'm like, all right, Ninja Gaiden, from the Nintendo version, but I digress there. He was offered an interview by a female reporter. I believe her name was Larison Campbell, and basically what had happened was that Foster didn't want to do he was going to be doing like a 15-hour campaign tour, and Campbell wanted to basically follow him around on the tour. Now, Foster is a known Christian, basically, and Foster didn't want to go on this trip alone. He wanted a male escort, basically. And a lot of people created a huge fuss out of this. They were basically saying, oh, he's sexist and blah, blah, blah. And, if you read the comments of a lot of videos, which I'm going to cover a couple and whatnot, I mean, I'm not going to read the comments, but just a couple of things that I've seen thrown out there in general that I recalled there. Honestly, I'm going to state my opinion first, and then I'll tell you what he claimed, and then we'll get into the other opinions. The Me Too movement, whether it was his intention or not, he was indirectly supporting it by having somebody around to basically monitor and everything like that, because with so many allegations in there statistically 2%, there's 2% false accusers and everything. Those are the statistics that are out there, about 2.2%. Regardless though of that, this Me Too movement, which honestly I felt for the time before, the whole thing with Epstein went down, which I'm not going to cover because there's plenty of shit on that. I'm just glad that shit starts finally getting resolved. Honestly, I feel the Me Too movement was used to cover up Hollywood's pedophilia. It's something that me and a friend of mine have actually been discussing in the background and whatnot, and that was something I pretty much picked up on, because all of a sudden after all of that, things were kind of swept under the rug for a bit, but then stories and whistleblowers started coming out about NXIVM and whatnot, so but for the time being, the Me Too movement was really sweeping a lot of Hollywood pedophilia under the rug. It was kind of convenient. If you kind of know where I'm going and whatnot, you see what I'm talking about with that there. But I digress once again there. With this Me Too movement, I honestly felt, before I found out the reality, what he said about it, I honestly felt he was indirectly, whether he intended to or not, he was indirectly basically complying to the Me Too movement. Basically, he didn't want to be alone with a woman, and he just wanted to make sure things were safe, because with all these accusations that have been going around, and regardless of whether they're real or not, when you're popular, when you've got a lot to lose, why take the risk? Why take the risk? And that was what my theory and mentality about it was, and I don't blame him for that. I've got female friends, and I'm not saying go out there and live in fear, every woman's going to betray you or something like that. I'm not going to be a misogynist like that, but you got to be careful in this day and age. My friend has says give it a year or two, and we'll see what happens. I said we'll have that conversation eventually, but you got to be careful. You really have to be careful in this day and age. It's very, very scary, to just. And it's not just who you know or who you want to hook up with or who you want to be friends with, but a lot of things that you say today, and I don't agree to it, but a lot of things you say today with how hypersensitive people are and everything, it's just crazy and ridiculous. And I don't blame this guy. You could have your life ruined. You never know. Now, granted, Larson Campbell, of course, would state, she would never do that or anything. Why take the chance, though? That's what I'm saying. I tell people I'm sincere with, my kindness and everything, but I've unfortunately had a few people that would think that I was exaggerating or things of that nature. But you see what I'm getting at. We're like I said before, we're all prejudiced about things. He was showing prejudice, but it wasn't the intent to be prejudiced or sexist as he was deemed or whatnot, without evidence or anything like that. He was doing it basically for something greater, but that's what I was initially thinking. Now, a lot of people felt like there's been some really interesting comments that have been said about him. One popular one that was pretty funny was he's probably, he's hiding something, he's cheating on his wife or something like that. Honestly, Christian, it's rare for it's not unheard of, but it's rare for people who were highly devout to their religion, to their Christian faith, to cheat. Unfortunately, put priest pedophilia aside and everything like that. For people, it's usually it's not very common for devoted Christians to cheat. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but it's not very common. But I didn't really get that vibe from it. A lot of people felt he was getting unnecessary self-importance and attention. Yeah, when you make a spectacle of yourself, in a sense, even if you're not intending to, the problem is the media loves to eat things up like this, unfortunately, and they love to twist it into their own stories and just make fun of you for it and everything. Hell, I make fun of people too. I get it and everything, but that was the big kicker. Then they were making the homosexual jokes, what if it was a homosexual reporter? He could do the same thing. Okay, The funny part about that is, one, this isn't a boy, and I'm gonna crack that joke. One, it's not like he's a priest chasing a boy, so we'll get that out of the way. But two, this is a Christian man who probably has a strong opinion and stance against homosexuality. It's not gonna work. Not gonna fucking work. Not gonna fucking work in the major sense. It would work more for somebody like me because I'm not religious, and I'm not, even though I'm straight, you can still twist things and whatnot. But I mean, it's like I don't have like religion to kind of trump me or back me up, and I'm not, married or anything like that. But again, all I can really say is I don't chase women or anything like that. So, but also there were a few other comments like, what was another? Okay, yeah, there was another one where they were saying like he's guilty of something. I didn't believe that at all, because I wouldn't want to be alone in a room. If I were rich and famous, I wouldn't want to be alone in a room with a complete stranger, female stranger. I don't care if she's with the press or anything like that. I got a lot to lose. I got nothing to hide too. I've never mistreated women. I've never been, arrested for anything of that nature. I've never been reprimanded, fired, anything of that nature. I've never sexually harassed anybody at all. I'm just a very cautious, contingent thinking person. So when I saw that comment, I had to get a big laugh out of that, because it's just like, yeah, you're right. I'm not saying go out there and fear every single fucking woman. I've got female friends, but at the same token, don't take the risk in certain things. I mean, that's the bottom line. Don't take any risks. You never know. Even if it's a 2.2%, you never fucking know. I mean, that's just common sense there. The Me Too movement came up a lot, which I was strongly believing up at that point. That was my major thought of it. A lot of people were like, why doesn't he just say that? Maybe he needed the right opportunity to say something of that nature. I don't know. But that's pretty much in a nutshell. Those seem to be like the most common questions there. What it turned out to be is that Robert Foster followed, it's some evangelical rule called the Billy Graham rule. And I had heard of it only once before. I had to read up on it again, and this is only the second time I'd heard of it. But the Billy Graham rule, it was named after a Christian evangelist by the name of William Franklin Billy Graham Jr. And he'd been like a Christian evangelist for about 60 years roughly, and he passed away last year. He'd actually been a pastor to some presidents as well in the past, and in 1948, he created his ministry created these 4 rules. Basically, they were to shield themselves against negative repercussion or misconducts or anything of that nature, whether it be financial or sexual or anything of that. So one of the rules actually turned out to be that a man should never be alone in a room with a woman who is not his wife. So that makes sense. I mean, look, I'm agnostic, and I personally feel that you should live a good, moral life, but at the same token, you don't need to depend on spirituality for it, but you still have to follow, things that are obviously what society deems as right, to certain extents. Of course, there's always gray areas, but overall, I mean, you should be living a decent life, family values and things. And even if you don't want to have a family, like I don't want to have a family, you still want to uphold that respect and also the understanding of why family is important, obviously, for the society. But at the same token, though, I don't believe that that you should depend upon something that may or may not exist. But that's just the way I see it with that. But I get where he's coming from. But so it's sad, though, because Christianity is dumped on so much in the society, whereas Islamic values are worshipped just because a majority of Islamic people are not white. And that's true. I mean, a lot of people even think Muslim religion is a race, which it isn't, obviously. And I mean, there's some Islamic or Muslim people that are sound of heart. Imam is one, and Salim from Operation Cold Front's another. He's a great, he's a really good guy, and he's a conservative too. Your faith is something that you separate from. It's the separation of church and state. You separate your faith from it. Now, of course, Eisenhower, during the Red Communist Scare in the 50s, put in One Nation Under God during the Pledge of Allegiance because of the Communist Scare that occurred, obviously after post-World War II. So that's basically what was put into that. But Christianity always gets dumped on due to the fact that, the key reason is, let's be real here. I don't like it's the homosexuality part. That's what gets them. Let's just be real. That's more than likely all it really is. Aside from, other atheist views of, the flying spaghetti monster and everything, which is fine too. But I think the reality of it is that they basically just hate it because of the homosexuality, denouncing. But then, of course, I'm going to accept half-assed backwards heavy Islamic values, and it's like, but they want to kill you though for being homosexual, to behead you. And like I was saying before, catching a beating's a lot better than being beheaded, but that doesn't make it right, which is something I'm going to get to. It's kind of ironic I'm mentioning that now because it's something to get to. I've mentioned it before. Catching a beating is far better than getting you beheaded or killed for your sexual preference, but it doesn't mean that either or are morally better than the other. It's just, it's not right either way. You shouldn't be beaten up just because you're gay. You shouldn't be killed for being gay or anything of that nature. And unfortunately, sometimes if you have to look in that sense, like, okay, you got punched or you got made fun of or something, and it's a drag. And I tease lightheartedly about homosexuality and things like that. But okay, so you got insulted or whatnot. Life goes on. You're alive still. You're still able to be gay. But, with fanatics, especially on the Islamic side, you're not going to pretty much live at that point. But again, just because one's better than the other, just on paper, doesn't make it moral. Just like abortion's legal and it is a right in the business of a woman to do that, does that make it moral though? That's the thing. That's basically what, where people say, like, what's your view on abortion? I say, well, they can, if a chick wants to do it, she can do it, whatever. But she's making an immoral choice, hands down. It's her right to and everything. And, I can understand certain circumstances when it comes to basically health concerns or, psychological concerns or things like that. But if there's none of that in there, rape's a gray area though, and it's just very difficult. But I'll go off on that for ages. But I'm just using that as an example. Just because you're able to do something or just because it looks better on paper doesn't make it moral. That's what you have to ask. Is it moral? So that's where it comes from on that. But that's what happened with Robert Foster, basically. That was his answer, and I believe it. I believe it there. I don't think he was cheating on his wife. I don't think his wife cheated on him. I definitely don't think I don't think that he's gay or, or anything like that, or wants a dude in there to double team or anything like that. The Billy Graham, there you go. I believe it. I just hope that people move past it, but they probably won't. All right. Second to last thing, and this is pretty big, and this pertains to all creators in YouTube, and I gotta tell you, when I was reading this, I'm gonna read the article, and I'm gonna chime in with my with my observations. So YouTube says new creator-on-creator harassment rules are coming. So creator-on-creator is, obviously you know where this is going. Carlos Maza versus Steven Crowder is a perfect example of creator-on-creator. Honestly, overall, who gives a shit? I don't care. I've had people criticize, my work. I'm boring. I'm a boring person that rants and everything like that. I don't even put videos up while I'm talking. I put pictures up. I chew people out. I make fun of things. And I speak about the same exact things that other people say. I get it. I'm just here to have fun. I'm just here to share my opinion. I'm just one person that's under the radar, and I'm talking to friends and online and friends that I know personally. I just need to get my voice out a lot, and this is the only medium that I have to do it, because I live with like people who aren't passionate, semi-passionate, I'll say it that way, about politics like I am. Pikachu has her chime-ins and stuff, but she's kind of shy about a lot of stuff, and I'm trying to get her to open up more, but usually a lot of the time she just lets me talk, even though I kind of try to push her into it, but she doesn't really want to go into detail because she's either shy or, just doesn't really have a whole lot to say about it, which is fine. And then I have another friend that just avoids politics altogether. So usually I got to find some way to get all of this out of my head when I'm not around my friends, and this is the way to do it. But getting back on topic here, YouTube's chief product officer, Neil Mullen, has revealed that the company is working on new creator-on-creator harassment policies that will be announced later this year. Mullen made the announcement at VidCon 2019, a conference for digital video creators, but didn't provide any specific details on what these policies will entail. So basically it's pretty much like what E3 has become, a disappointment and just teaser trailers. That's what I got out of that sentence there, practically. And a comment to CNET, which, that was a great site to get WinZip from back in the day, before they started trying to charge you like $30 to $50 to use it. YouTube said that the introduction of these new policies wasn't spurred by Vox host Carlos Maz's claims that comedian Steven Crowder's jokes constituted harassment against him, which I think is bullshit. I think that's total fucking bullshit right there. I mean, I don't think that's the entire part of it, but that had a big play into it, because this just came out of nowhere. About a month into it, just came out of nowhere there. And the subsequent legacy media campaign that pressured YouTube to take action against Crowder, I think it had a big part to do with that. When you have two powerful media influences, one working for a major quote-unquote news organization, and then one working for an independent news organization, and they're clashing at each other, that makes media. That sells. Of course they're going to be reevaluating things, because they're going to be seeing you're looking at two huge names on YouTube at each other's throats, threatening legal action, getting demonetized. I mean, come on. If that wasn't a big spur of it, then are you trying to tell me that these random little like Medium pages and whatnot were the ones that spurned it? Come on. But anyway, here's the rest of it. However, it's not clear what else could have led to YouTube making this change, because there haven't been any other recent high-profile incidents. Thank you, exactly. Where a YouTube creator has claimed that they were being harassed by another creator and then gained significant media attention. See what I'm talking about? That's exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, yeah, there's people who talk shit on YouTube comments. There's people that talk shit on YouTube, like me, for example. But you can just navigate away or block the user, or you don't even have to engage. But that's the problem, though. It's these blind emotions that get people to fly unhinged and go after you. So that's where we're at with it. So next sentence goes, YouTube introduced new quote-unquote hate speech rules, such bullshit, in the wake of Maz's complaints, which led to many seemingly innocuous YouTube channels being demonetized and deleted. Yeah. Oh yeah, they started a purge. Like I was mentioning about a month ago. They're purging people that don't fit this bullshit agenda. I've said a lot of things that are controversial, but I say a lot of things based off of objective opinion that have fact to back it up, ironically enough. But it's still my opinion regardless, but it still rings with irony a lot of the times. I mean, hell, I talked about Islam there, for Christ's sake, and what they do to homosexuals and everything, and that's considered hate speech? I mean, it's like, look, if you're beheading, well, that's, again, you get where I'm coming from just before I say it. This is the one that I really loved. This was the kicker here that astonished me. I mean, I'm not surprised by it, but it regardless astonished me. In a further update, YouTube said it may take, it doesn't matter if you say may, it's more than likely going to happen. YouTube said it may take action against creators even if they don't violate community guidelines. Take action against creators even if they don't violate community guidelines. So that basically means that if you say certain things, it's just like Bush's Patriot Act. You say certain things, some fat person, and I'm cracking a joke at Facebook moderators, some fat, ugly, disabled-looking person, and I'm just going to throw out all the stereotypes there, may come out there, hear or see something on your channel that they don't like I just said, for example, and throw you under the bus. Even if you say something like, I could be more polite. Even if you say something of the nature like, I really feel sorry for YouTube or Facebook moderators because they probably more than likely laugh at what they're reading before they delete it and they find it funny, but they have to be paid to look for crap like this and everything. Even if I say something more possibly true and structured like I just did, more professional, they could still be like, oh, that's offended me because it's like I don't laugh at things before I take it down, or oh, how dare you make fun of my job even though this is what I do. So you could comment the actual truth of what somebody does or what somebody has said, and it's not in violation of it. You're just taking from context. You could literally just take from context, regardless of whether or not it was meant or not, and just be thrown under the bus for it. Just because somebody is going to get butthurt. That's what that sentence sums up in a nutshell. The purpose of YouTube is to share videos of hobbies, recreation, news, opinions. I mean, just anything that falls under what humans do. And of course, people aren't going to agree, even if it's not like a political debate or a culture debate or anything. Even when it comes to hobbies, people get heated. I mean, nerd fandoms get heated about shit like that. Nerd fandoms, I like Symbiote Spider-Man. I love the black costume more than his red and blue one. Not everybody agrees to me on that, and that's fine. I'm not going to go after people or throw a torch on the flame or things like that. The red and blue is classic. I give it that. That's what it started off as. I defend it for that. Red and blue is just two of the three colors of the American flag. I like that. I'll give it that. But the black costume's just so much cooler looking. It's dark, it's sinister looking. Yeah, Spider-Man necessarily wasn't meant to be sinister looking, but to have that edge, to already be kind of like Batman, for example, to have that edge and to work in the the way of justice and truth, to have that edge of fear is awesome. But it's not even just the symbiote suit. Even if he just wore what the Fantastic Four seamstress did. See, I'm nerding out here. Even like in the Spider-Man comics, like he did in the comic when he was going to Sub City, where all those rejected freaks were, and Michael Morbius was trying to get them to bring down people who they felt were bad people so he could feed, and then it turned out to be a huge misunderstanding. He wore a black costume because he felt like he wouldn't be seen by the people in the underworld. Plus, it would instill a little more fear and whatnot, but that backfired too. Mary Jane had a fear, so I guess I get how some people just don't support it. Also, Mary Jane had a fear of it, but off that train there. But you see, just because I feel that the symbiote suit's better doesn't mean that I'm going to shun people that like the red and blues. I'm not going to shun people for that. I'm not going to, I may tease them or something like that, like, you're an idiot, or it's like, oh, okay, fine, you want to like that pussy suit? I mean, I'm not, but it's all in good fun. It's all in good fun. But I wouldn't even really go that far to say that because it's just so trivial to do that. It's much funnier when you basically go for the throat on I guess if somebody were passionate, I'd probably go for the throat for it. I mean, I'm a passionate person too, and I defend my things, and other people have different opinions about it and things like that. I'm very passionate, but I'm not passionate to the point to where I'm going to be like, oh, fuck you, or something of that nature. But that's what I'm talking about. It could even get that far where it's like, oh, Street Fighter 2 sucks, Mortal Kombat's better. Oh my god, it didn't go against the guidelines, but it hurt somebody's feelings. You're out the window. Then they'll probably be like, oh, but we're only going to pertain this to political discussions and everything. Look, that's just... this platform was created to share opinions, to share interests. And now it's basically becoming a total safe space for the wrong type of degenerates. I mean, there's no classic Saturday Night Live humor anymore. There's no Married with Children anymore. It would never... I mean, it's shown today, which is awesome, and Hulu has it, but nobody would be able to make anything like that today. People even go as far as to say Friends is just this, atrocious show and everything like that. Friends, that show sucked. Seinfeld and Frasier cut a lot of boundaries. Sophisticated wit, and then, of course, childish sarcasm. But now childish sarcasm is viewed as, like, severe immaturity. But at the same token, it's the greatest weapon that you can use against hypersensitive people who have no sense of humor. Nobody can open up today and just laugh. And, of course, I'm exaggerating, but, the left takes exaggeration as basically 100%. And the reason why I know that is there's a Facebook page called Educating Liberals. Dylan Smith, do you see that guy? He exaggerates, but there's a few people that go on there that really take him to heart and just go for the throat on this guy. Oh. I mean, he clearly exaggerates, but some people get so offended. I mean, there's people that will post shit from that crappy Occupy Democrats page on there, and you'd think they're joking. No, they're not. It's like even Snopes considers Occupy Democrats borderline liar pants on fire. That's how bad, a more left biased site thinks of Occupy Democrats. But that's another can of worms there. YouTube's reasoning for this is that if a creator's behavior is deemed to be egregious and harms the broader community, YouTube may need to take action against them, regardless of whether they've actually broken the rules. So again, what they're trying to say is that anything that goes against a progressive viewpoint, in their eyes, even if you raise a valid point, is going to be thrown under the bus. So how the hell are regular Joes like me and others out there supposed to voice our opinion when they get censored? Because it's hate speech, even though it's either an ironic joke or it's, pretty much just going for the throat. How the fuck are we supposed to get there? We don't all want to be journalists because we'll have to work for networks that are going to basically make it all about us. The journalist has to be on the video, can't show anything else. Emotional stories, it's like, oh, I don't care about facts. I want you to garnish people's emotions and everything. I don't want to be a journalist. I want to just be the regular Joe going on YouTube, playing video games, talking shit, having fun, talking sports, talking about the passions I have in life and everything. That's what I want to do. And if I say a few things that offend people, fuck off. Go to a different page. Unfollow me. Yeah, I know I don't have many followers, but I mean, you get what I'm saying, though. That's the bottom line. If you don't like what I have to say, stop the video. Just ignore me. I'm not going out there hurting people. I'm not going out there protesting or beating up people or shooting people or anything of that nature. I'm just saying my opinion, which has facts for the most part. And I exaggerate a little too, I'm not going to lie. But who gives a shit? Who cares? I'm just one person. These new hate speech quote unquote rules. I love how they put the quote unquote on that. That's perfect. Rules in this further update from YouTube already cover genuine harassment and even allow YouTube to punish creators for making jokes, as we saw with the Crowder case. Exactly. I got banned from Facebook. I don't recall if I mentioned this, but I'll say it again. I got banned from Facebook for 30 days because I posted a comic that a girl had drawn where she was saying, like, at 10 years old, I'm not into pink or girly things. And then at 20, it turns out that she's into pink and girly things. And it was just a funny irony of it because she kind of gradually got into it. She still has interests in her, she still has interests in like tomboy stuff. My cousin's a tomboy. She's a lesbian, a conservative lesbian, and she is like a lipstick lesbian. She loves looking good. She loves pink, but she loves girls, but she likes tomboy stuff like video games and things like that. She doesn't want to look like a guy. She wants to look like a girl. She doesn't, and the funny thing is, she even says she doesn't understand butch lesbians either. Why would lesbians want to look like things that they don't sleep with or that overall they hate? And I was like, yeah, that's something I've been trying to figure out too. But I mean, whatever you want to do is whatever you want to do. It doesn't mean you're free of people's criticism or humor. But YouTube wants to make sure that you are. Given what we've already seen from YouTube's previous rule changes this year, these new creator-on-creator harassment policies are probably going to have little impact when it comes to stopping real harassment. Yeah, I'd say so, but instead make it even harder for creators to challenge, debate, criticize, joke about, or respond to content from other creators on the platform. I mean, I criticize people on Facebook a lot. I sometimes mention people on YouTube. I give compliments about them, but then I've also mentioned a few people on YouTube that are idiots, basically, which I'm going to actually be doing soon. But, this is, I mean, it's true. I mean, honestly, if we don't want to be reporters, if we don't want to be reporters and we don't have like a circle of friends in reality or anything of that nature, and what I mean is, like, if you're introverted and, you don't have any friends outside of maybe associates you have online, for example, because there's people like that. If your whole world revolves around internet association and everything, your method of expression, if you're brave enough, is to go online and share your interests and everything. That's what true introverted people do if they're not agoraphobic. But now, and I mean, even with politics, I mean, it could even be with politics, but now, God knows what's going to happen. Who knows what the hell is going to happen with this? It's like when they were talking about NCIS like taking on social justice matters. It's like, give me a fucking break. That's not entertaining. You don't watch these shows to be taught a lesson. I mean, if it has a passing lesson in it, like Outer Limits, Twilight Zone, for example, it's an awesome irony to it, and it suits the mood. But if you're trying to just basically make fantasy reality, like Charlie's Angels, for example, making women look dyke and butch and everything and whatnot, I don't even care about the color of the skin in that one. It's just more so the implementation of why they're doing it, and then the way they're making the characters look. I won't care if they're black, white, Hispanic. It doesn't make a difference. The way that they're portraying them with their haircuts and what they're more than likely going to be going up against and everything is not something I want to be entertained to see. When I think of Charlie's Angels, I want to see three badass women kicking ass, kicking criminals' asses, men or women. I don't give a shit. Stopping terrorists. Bosley, never seeing his phrase. Patrick Stewart's voicing Bosley, which is the only plus I can give to that. I'll at least give it that. But I want to see him kicking ass. I want to see him tackling terrorism or theft or anything of that nature. I don't want them to be consistently going against this patriarchy or, wage gap or anything of that nature. I don't care about that. I don't want to be taught these stupid-ass boring lessons in a movie. I want to be entertained. If there is a message behind it, like the Twilight Zone's done, like the Outer Limits is done, like a few movies like Mississippi Burning is done, that's fine. Methods in it, plot in it, overall focus in it. Those types of movies like Mississippi Burning, it makes sense to have that sort of thing. But this is Charlie's Angels. They ruined Supergirl with this, feminist crap. They're going to ruin Batwoman with this feminist crap. Hell, they called Ruby Rose not gay enough, for crying out loud. And I mean, she tries to do that haircut, and there's just so many shows where it's like, I just want to be entertained. If you're not going to act well, then entertain me. And there's tons of action movies like that where the acting sucks, but it entertains the fuck out of me. We're not going to see it. Classics are just going to be destroyed. Back to the Future Part 4. Oh, let's talk about, Christopher Lloyd says, let's talk about climate change. No. I don't care. Okay? It's not something I want to go to a Hollywood movie to. A documentary is a different thing than a Hollywood movie. Hollywood movie is supposed to have busty, beautiful women and ripped, toned, handsome men. Period. That's why you see a movie, to escape reality for a bit. Anime is supposed to have big jiggling boobies and submissive harem roles. I wish the harem roles for the boys, they were more forward and whatnot, but High School DxD is getting there. But, you know, that's the point of it. Escape reality. It's not going to happen anymore, though. Unless Generation Z wakes the fuck up. So, there you go. I mean, that's YouTube. That's going to be YouTube, eventually. They started purging a lot of Sherlock Holmes films off of YouTube, but somebody actually keeps reposting some. So, yeah, I've got them on DVD. But YouTube's a convenience of a point and a click. Small little topic. Then we'll get to the meat. Then we'll get to gaming. Carlos Maza, I've watched a few of his videos, and although his overall message makes sense, the problem is that he sweeps, he indirectly sweeps issues, like known issues, especially with Antifa, under the rug. He had a video which I encourage you to watch and read the comments section of it if you really want to see how far the left are getting these days. If you watch the video he has on the media glorifying the violence that Antifa causes, a lot of news media outlets do go out of their ways to over-dramatize certain things. However, to just basically state that Antifa occasionally causes violence made me laugh. To say it in such nonchalant terms that he does is just flat out comical. The point of his video is just basically to talk about how the media over-dramatizes and glorifies things, which I agree to, they do. Doesn't matter the topic, they do. However, the media today will use these methods to sway you either emotionally or logically. Majority of the time it's going to be emotionally. Now, we don't like to see people, I mean, it's emotional reaction. We don't like to see people get hurt for the most part. We really don't. I mean, the healthy human mind does not want somebody to get hurt, especially if they don't deserve it. And then, of course, you know, even the healthy human mind wishes harm upon people, but just thinking that and not acting upon it are acting upon it are two completely different things. I mean, a friend of mine recently was talking about it, how, you know, there was something that just pissed the hell out of him, and, you know, he just told me, I just wish that I could have just gone over there and taken a baseball bat and everything like that. And it's like, I get it, you know, but these are just thoughts, and he was saying it for comical relief, and that's okay. If he really went ahead and did it, then we'd probably be having a whole different conversation right now, or I might not even be on for a while, because I'd just be like, holy shit. But it's normal to think, it's normal to think good or bad things upon people, but whether or not you act upon them, or if you make that your entire ambition, and you're not happy and you become depressed as a result, that's when you need to be concerned. I mean, everybody's like said things, you know, it's like, oh, I wish I were dead, or wish you were dead, or things like that. I mean, just saying something or thinking something doesn't mean that you're going to do it. Now, if you start showing a pattern, a consistent pattern of it, rather than just, talking like I do or other people do. If you're showing like consistent patterns, that's when you need to get the red flags up. But if you read the comments section of the video, it astonishes me to no ends how many of these people, and I'm hoping some of these people are joking around. I've seen people on there calling Antifa heroes, that, they're fighting the good fight. They keep using the excuse like, name one person that Antifa's killed, I'll wait and everything. Like, all of the killings done by conservatives, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, the funny thing is a majority of mass shooters are mostly, liberals anyway, or Democrats. I mean, they swept that transgender shooter under the rug pretty fast and everything. But, okay. So going back to what I was saying about homosexuals catching a beating or being beheaded, this is what I'm talking about right here. Okay, so Antifa hasn't killed anybody that we know of in America. In Europe, it's a different story. But in America, okay, so Antifa hasn't killed anybody that we know of. But you're trying to just use the slate of... You're trying to use the slate of hurting somebody or sending them to the hospital or destroying public property is better than killing somebody. On paper, yeah. On paper, yeah. Is it moral, though? Is it moral to beat somebody up for a different opinion? And the people they go after aren't even neo-Nazis or extreme right or anything like that. Alt-right and far-right are just these now becoming these buzzwords that are used for people that are against their agenda. And I know you guys all have probably heard that from many other people. It's true, though. It's true. I mean, and let's compare it. If you were to tell somebody that getting beaten for being gay is a lot better than being killed, they're going to freak the fuck out on you. More than likely. But, if you tell somebody like, oh, Andy Ngo got beat up, or oh, you got a milkshake thrown at you, they say it's like, oh, big fucking whoop. They've been putting cement and acid in some of them even. They've caused harm. But they call them heroes, and I'm not kidding. The comment section has people in there. That comment section for that video on the overglorification of the media and everything has people calling Antifa heroes. I want to believe they're trolling. I don't, but it's 2019. What can I say? I've been tricked before, but it's so difficult to tell these days. It is so difficult to tell. I mean, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, I'd rather have a milkshake thrown on me than being shot. I'll admit that. But should it happen for having a different opinion than them? No. Yeah, okay, I'd rather catch a beating than, be killed for being conservative. But should it happen? No. Should homosexuals be beaten, rather than killed? No. Should you be beaten for being a Christian? No. Should you be beaten for being Muslim? No. I mean, unless you actually do something violent, and I'm talking extremely violent. I mean, some people hold back even when they see these things. The roadblocks created. I mean, the Proud Boys are people that are sick of it. They're going out there and they're gonna fight back. They're fighting back and everything. But of course, because they're fighting back, they're going to take the blunt of the media for that. And they're going to be like, oh, see, Antifa's beating up neo-Nazis and everything. I don't really find the Proud Boys are extreme, I'll give them that. I don't think they're like alt-right or neo-Nazis or anything, but they're extreme. I mean, they're taking measures into their own hands because they've had enough. Oh, well, Antifa's had enough too. No, well, but Antifa's fighting the wrong people. They're getting funded, obviously, and more likely by George Soros. They're getting funded. They're getting paid to do this crap. Probably even a majority of the people who are even members don't even give a fuck what the message is. They just want to create problems, or they sexually get off to it, like I said before. And we've seen it before too. We've seen fake protest signs. We've seen the conspiracy theory of like Sandy Hook with the Parkland shooting. I mean, I'm not saying they both didn't happen or anything of that nature. I'm not going that far. But we've seen like two women that looked alike, basically speaking out against gun control. It's possible. I mean, there's a lot of warranted evidence out there. It's possible. I mean, I'm not going to fly off the hinge or anything, but I mean, it's possible. But you see, you can't pick and choose. in situations of comparing violence to murder, you can't pick and choose what's right and wrong in that sense. And unless there are minimal factors involved, war being one of them, but even then, that's still something you don't want anything to come to, and I agree to that. But overall, though, realistically, you can't rationalize violence to murder. Realistically, on paper, sure. You can rationalize it overall in the sense you're still alive or blah blah. But at the same token, though, what would happen if a homosexual person was beaten up consistently and it traumatized him to the point where he wants to commit suicide? There you go. It could happen to anybody. I mean, sometimes it can take just like one thing to traumatize somebody. But if it's words, that you got a problem. If it's like rape or beatings or anything like that, that's understandable. But if you're getting traumatized by what somebody says or types, you've got problems and you need help. And if you're going to off yourself about that, I have no sympathy for you, honestly. There's a lot of people out there that are sacrificing their lives for this country. There's a lot of people out there that, that could at any moment, anything bad could happen to them that's far worse than basically being told you're a snowflake or, you need help or something of that nature, or, you're a liberal pussy or you're a conservative or whatever. There's a lot worse things that could traumatize you than that. And it could happen to anybody at any moment. And I feel bad for people that have to get to that point. It sucks. But a lot of what Antifa follows, it's just they don't know what the fuck they're doing in this country. They really don't. And one comment that stood out to me was in the sense of how one of the biggest things that I notice a lot of left-leaning people try to use are those two things. The first thing, of course, is what I mentioned about how they never murdered anybody. Well, recently they had tried to, and that's going to be the big topic next. Recently somebody tried to at an ICE detention center. They sucked at it. So the easiest troll you could say is, oh yeah, you're right, Antifa's never really killed anybody because they suck at trying to kill somebody. They can't even, they get all geared up. They can't even fucking go, they implement it and they can't even fucking finish. And then they get killed. So, they're good at catching beatings and getting arrested and everything. Yeah, okay, so there's really no heard or known cases, and if there are any, share them with me, of Antifa killing anybody. But now you could use because they fucking suck at it. And they almost end up killing innocent people out of it too. Like I said, we'll get to that, but you see what I mean? So there's that one part there that they just use, and it's like, oh, well, conservatives do all this. Well, look, liberals have dirty hands too when it comes to mass shootings, and whether it be political or school oriented or things like that. But they're still going to bring up what their political affiliation is because it's the hot topic. We're in a Cold War right now politically. The second thing that I enjoyed, and this is something that's common not only on this page, but that I've heard many times before. It's all about property, not lives, and everything like that. Indirectly, there was a gentleman that was mentioning that about how all conservatives care about is property. They don't care about people's lives, blah, blah, blah. Indirectly, he was basically commenting on gun violence and things of that nature. I told him, do you honestly think do you want to take the chance of somebody robbing you? It's like, if I lose my shit, I lose my shit. I'm going to be fucking pissed and everything if somebody robbed me. I can eventually get it back, or, start a GoFundMe or something of that nature. I can do that because there's a lot of people out there that are willing to help people who lose things or need food or diapers or a crib, or, want to stop being homeless and get have somebody help them out, get them home. I mean, there's a lot of, and there's scams, of course, but there are sincere people out there that use those platforms to get help. But regardless of that, a robber isn't always going to come in and just steal your shit. You piss them off enough, or if they just flat out don't like you, or they're mentally gone, they'll kill you. It doesn't, it's this indirect, liberals feel like far left, and a lot of like left-leaning people, not all of them irrationally, but overall feel that criminal lives are more important. Like, they're like, oh, it's all lives and everything. But the bottom line, though, is if it comes down to your life or theirs, what are you going to choose? I don't want to be robbed. I don't want to shoot anybody. I'm going to protect my property. Yeah. Because it's my fucking property and nobody's going to steal it. I'll end a life if somebody tries to rob me or threaten me, because I don't know what they're going to do. They could kill my sister for all I know. They could kill my best friend. They could kill anybody visiting. They could kill me. Why take that risk? There's cases where people do rob and then they run off. And it's a very traumatizing experience. I've seen it. I've seen it happen on video before. I've never experienced it personally, but I understand it's traumatizing. I've been through trauma myself. I'm not going to